Good evening, everybody. Tonight I have one of my co-hosts, Courtney. The other two, Joe is out of his mind, and the other one is out of town. So we just got the two of us. Just the two of us. Okay. You don't want me to sing. All right. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I want comments. I like comments. I like to answer the comments. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where to start. We got so much crap going on in the world. It's unbelievable. Let me do a quick recap. In New York City, the junkies are allowed to shoot up in the street. The cops are not allowed to arrest them if they're shooting whatever drug, fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, whatever, morphine, Demerol. That used to be the very common years ago. But they are allowing them, and they're shooting galleries on 42nd Street. You see them sitting there nodding out. And who is doing this? The law. Hey, Mike, how are you? The lawmakers that we have are saying, Deborah, how are you, Deborah? Peace and love to you too. We have Democratic Ellen. Boy, hello, Ellen. So we have Democratic legislators and lawmakers that are letting the criminals get away with everything. There's no bail reform. Meanwhile, violent crimes and petty crime, all crimes are surging, and it's crazy. And it goes up from the top. It goes from Biden down because Biden loves this defund. He said many times to defund the police. And he's made so many comments that are just ridiculous. We're going to talk about that tonight. But it's just crazy. And Kamala Harris, our vice president, who's never around, just recently did a whole promotional thing for the new elections coming up. And she did that at churches. And I understand there's a federal law disallowing churches to be doing political whatever, anything political, a political, and she's a political sermons and things of that nature. And she's going to all these Baptist churches in, I don't know about the Catholic church. I know she's going to the Baptist churches in Virginia and Georgia, where all these, and he's trying, and it's just trying to get him up to voting Democratic and all that kind of stuff. And you're not supposed to do that. But then again, the Democrats can do anything because whatever they do, they're not getting prosecuted. First of all, DOJ, Department of Justice, is a deep state. Look what they try to do to Trump. They arrested Roger Stone 6 o'clock in the morning with 20 FBI agents for a contempt of court type of thing. They did that to a couple of Trump appointees. But Hunter Biden doesn't get arrested. Hunter Biden has child pornography on his computer. He's got emails, evidentiary about the corruption with the Biden administration, which we're going to talk about later. And they're not doing anything. I understand lately there was I get a conservative newsletter saying that the FBI is investigating Hunter Biden, but they don't say what they're doing, what they're investigating for. I understand the IRS is investigating for some tax possible tax fraud that he might have committed with all the money he got from Barissa and from Germany and Russia. They send money to his account. I mean, the guy is a burnout. He can't do any business except art. He does abstract art, which is bullshit. That's a money laundering operation. And because he's the president's son, and he was the vice president's son, even worse. But now that he's the president's son, people are buying bullshit art things for $75,000, $500,000, and they're anonymous. Now that's a dead giveaway right away. If they're legitimate buyers, why do they want to be anonymous? He has carte blanche. Yes, Mike. Yeah, he has carte blanche. Yeah. It's unbelievable. Everything is topsy-turvy. It's just crazy. Now, Democratic district attorneys in many of the cities are not prosecuting small crimes. They're letting them get away with it. In San Francisco, I believe 7 Walgreens have closed. because they just can't take it. These people come in, they're allowed to steal up to $1,000. $999 is the threshold. They steal that, they're not going to get prosecuted. So they steal it. And Ellen Hunter is doing art selling for a fortune, and it's money laundering. Yes, maybe, no, yeah, definitely money laundering. They all should. Bob Rizzi says, Vinny, both of them should be locked up. That's right, they should be. Well, I hope enough people watch the show and this podcast and talk to their other friends and tell their other friends and tell their other friends. Maybe we get enough people to realize what's going on. Now, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna slightly talk about New York City. De Blasio was a horror. He was a horror. I don't think anybody could be as bad as him. I don't think anybody could attempt to be as bad as him. Well, he's a Marxist. He's a known Marxist. He's a communist. There's no two ways about it. And he goes to the George Soros school of politics. You know, screw the Americans, screw America, screw Americans. We want to reset. They want to have a new world order, whatever. And if they do a new world order, they're definitely not going to use Soros. He's so corrupt. He's so bad that even the people in that. But there's people above him. Like Chinese, they're above Soros, but they work together. They work together. Okay, so New York City has a surge in crime that's ridiculous, and this proves that the Democratic legislature in New York State and the Democratic governor, who says that using hypodermic needles in the street is legal, it's not against the law in New York State. So I don't know why they're doing that. They're just enabling the junkies to shoot up. And the cops are not allowed to arrest them. They're told don't arrest them. So they're not arresting them. They're not doing their job. And I don't blame the cops because the cops are unappreciated. They defunded them. Anything they do, I just read a whole gang, a whole list of cops are being charged with excessive force during the riot. The riots, they were throwing bottles at the cops. They were throwing shit at them, throwing fireworks, attacking them, and they're defending themselves, and they got to get charged with by CCRB, that's a Civilian Complaint Review Board, which is another communist fucking thing. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous what we're going through. And this all stems down from Biden and the Democrats. You got Democrats in Congress, Democrats in the Senate. Well, actually, it's 50-50, but with Kamala, hey, Anthony Rosati, how are you? Biden is a communist. Yes, Anthony. I think that's the point we're trying to make, yes. And we have to agree on that. He is a communist. You know, it's just... they're in power, and power tends to corrupt. Absolute power tends to corrupt. Absolutely. They have the two houses and White House. They have all the houses. Okay. Now they're nervous about losing it. They're going to lose at least the Congress, and they might even lose. The Senate is almost a tie. Now you got two Democrats, Manchin and Serene, who are moderate Democrats, which is very rare. That's extinct. There's no more moderate Democrats. Tulsi Gabbard, she seems to be a little bit more centrist than the other ones. But nevertheless, if it wasn't for those two, we'd be in this $3.5 trillion mess with the infrastructure, which is a bullshit. The infrastructure has so many what do they call pork barrels? They have so many side issues, so many side money going to different nonprofits that use their money for the Democratic Party. I mean, the corruption is just unbelievable. And I believe that when Trump was in office, he uncovered a lot of it, but not all of it, and not enough. It's unfortunate. He's just. I mean, somebody wrote in Facebook today all the things, bad things about Trump. He was egotistical. He was chauvinistic, and he did this and that. He was rude and all these other things. But he listed. He said, but that's the kind of guy that does what you need done. Unemployment went down for the Hispanics, for the Chinese. I mean, the Asians, for blacks. The house median income increased. The manufacturing, and a lot of things just went positive. And what's Biden doing? Knocking him down. Instead of building up on something good to make himself, he would look better if he used what the good things that Trump did and try to expand upon it as opposed to stopping it. I mean, to me, it's ridiculous. You have something going on that's good. Why stop it and go do the opposite? I don't understand the mentality. The only way I could think about that is that the people that are behind, I mean, let's face it, Biden is a puppet. He's even admitted a few times in his speeches that I got to watch what I say. They don't want me. He made references to other people telling him what to do. And I think Valerie Jarrett, who was with Obama, and Susan Rice, I mean, they are actually pulling the strings on him, really. I mean, he's so dumb. He's so demented. He doesn't know what he's doing. And look at CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS. They don't hop in on Biden being senile or demented, having dementia, or about the border. The border is like a crime by itself. We're going to talk about that. The people that are dying at the border because of his incompetency is overwhelming. You got people that are coming over. They're not even hiding. They're going right into the river. They're going right into the Rio Grande. They got rubber rafts. They're swimming with it, and some of them are drowning. Some of them don't know how to swim, but they get on a raft. They fall off the raft. They drown. They have found bodies. I blame Biden for this because if he didn't open the border, he actually opened the borders. He told them during the thing, I'm gonna have an open border thing. Boom, and everybody shut. He did not anticipate this surge. He didn't anticipate that the custom border agents can't handle this. They have to, number one, they have to process these people, and they have to do the law enforcement. They can't do both. They can't do while you're processing people. You can't watch the border. You're distracted. So people are dying. People are coming over the border with diseases because they're coming from poor countries that have little or no medical health care. They don't have anything, and they have what I call natural immunity. But even natural immunity can't immune you from have you immune from everything. So what's happening is that people are coming in from with smallpox, COVID. They're not being tested for COVID, and the hypocrisy of our government is that everybody has to be mandated to have a mask and get at least two vaccination shots. Joe Bratt, it's the same thing that Obama did, flying immigrants late at night. Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that in a second. So we just have a crazy situation. And as Joe Bratt just said, at the middle of the night, they're flying migrants all over the place. Who knows what city? Now I live in White Plains, and White Plains has an airport. Westchester Airport is in White Plains, North White Plains. And I don't know how many thousands last night or the night before were flown in quietly. Well, how quiet could they be? Everybody knows about it. And they're doing this in cities all over the country. And they're not testing them for COVID. They're not giving them the vaccine. So what are they going to do? They're going to infect the people that are close to them. And so many every night in Westchester, every night they fly in. Every night they're flying in. Not just 1 or 2 nights. Every night they're flying in. And I believe, and if there's anybody out there who knows the law better than me, and I'm sure there are quite a few, I think they're violating federal law on this. I believe they are. I saw something in the paper the other day, something about a possibility. Why are not forced welfare people to get vaccinated or no checks and no foods a year? Why don't they force welfare people to get vaccinated, or they don't get their check or no food stamps? I mean, what's good for the goose is not good for the gander. I mean, I don't understand. You have a law, or you have a mandate, you have something like that. It's got to be uniform. It has to be for everybody. How many times have they taken photographs of Biden not wearing the mask, and it has a mask mandate in Washington, D.C.? He was in a restaurant the other day. Let's 7:15. Let's bring Courtney on. I like her energy. I like her, and she's got to add to this.
Hey.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
oh, sorry, what?
no, continue.
I was going to say, I think I have a inkling as to why they're not mandating the injections for the.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
No, a little louder.
Nope. You hear me now?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I said, I think I have an inkling as to why they're not mandating the injections for welfare people and telling them that they can't get their food stamps because that would not be, part of the whole idea behind the Great Reset is to implode the economy and to make people dependent upon the government. And so those people are already, dependent upon the government. And so they don't want to rock the boat with them.
They don't want to rock the boat with people that are not contributing to our.
Right, because
they're taking. They're not giving. They're taking.
Is hurt the people who are contributing members of society. They want to crash the middle class. They want to destroy the economy. That's all part of the Great Reset. You'll own nothing.
They're doing a great job.
They're doing a very good job. They're achieving their goals.
I saw a list of all the food products and things at the supermarket that are going up 5%, 10%, 13%, 12%. There's too numerous to talk about tonight. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And not to mention the shortage. Now, the shortages is part of the game, supply and demand.
Yep, okay? You got it.
Now, but I don't understand how, maybe I'm too naive about it. So they want everything to go down to zero and then they're going to build it up again. Is that what the socialists want to do?
So you're alluding to the Build Back Better, right? Yeah. So part of Build Back Better means they have to tear it down, but they don't really want to build it back up. What they want to do is they want to put everybody under their control. So ultimately what they really want, and I know this sounds crazy, but it's written in the white papers. You can read it. What they really want is to put us on carbon credit. So you know how China has like the social credit model? Well, we would have something similar, and they want this worldwide, but they're definitely trying to get this here, where it would be, they've already talked about the carbon tax, but it goes beyond that. They want you to have a carbon credit card where there's a rationing so that you are capped out. You can only get meat a certain times, like once a month. You can only get a certain amount of gas. So when you've expended your limit, then you're cut off. And that's what they want. They literally want this to be where
I know what they want, but do you think the people are not going to revolt of something like that?
So I would hope that they do. I hope they do. But here's the problem. The problem is their strategy is, incrementalism. So it's like, the hardest part of the 2 weeks to flatten the curve is the first 18 months, right? Everybody's like, oh, it's 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks. That's not a big deal. But it's not just 2 weeks. Their goalpost is always being moved. It's never what they say it is. And my concern is, yes, if they were to do this today, then yeah, I think that there would be a massive revolt. But they're going to do the slow drip. And I think because people don't push back at each step, there is a possibility they will get away with it. Now, I hope that does not happen.
Now, that's interesting. You just put a point up. Put a very important point up. These mothers and fathers, mostly mothers, are protesting in their school boards against CRT and against all other stuff. And they're listing them as terrorists. They're saying, so what they're saying is you have no freedom of speech. You can't, I mean, they're not doing anything violent. They're just arguing with the school board, and they claim that that's a terrorist act, that they're threatening them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're threatening to vote them out. That's about it, but not physically.
Yeah, they want to declare them to be terrorists so that they can eradicate them, so that they have a case against them.
And they don't want them to speak up. What they're saying is, don't speak up or you're going to be a terrorist.
Say that again?
What they're saying is, don't speak up.
Right.
Because then you're a terrorist. If you speak up, then you're a terrorist. Hello, Wildfire tonight.
They even said that They even told what was, I think it was the New York Times. They said, don't go down the rabbit hole. Don't do your own research. Just trust us. Trust the mass action lines, which are their narratives. Mass action lines was a term from Mao. And it's a socialistic terms, which means, that it's the narratives that they put forth in order to corral the masses.
Well, their narrative is so negative to everything we're doing in this country, and it's negative to everything from school boards to the shopping centers to the gasoline pumps. Now, I would think that more people would be pissed off about the gas thing. Now, I don't understand why Biden shut off our oil supply and wants OPEC to give us more oil. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's like biting your nose to spite your face, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a couple of things going on there. I mean, they want to implode our economy, and we happen to have, a large oil economy in this country. The other thing is that they want us to be dependent. So, they want us to cut off the sources that we already use, and they want to promote their green energy because that's what's coming next. The fear porn from the virus is kind of waning. It's dying down a bit. So the next thing they're going to tell us is that, we have to preserve the planet and that the climate is constantly changing. And this is a grave threat to our existence. And they're going to create policies that will somehow fix it. And we should all.
Your camera's blurry, Courtney. I know you.
I know. I think it's my lighting. I need to, for nighttime, I'm going to have to set up with a light.
On before you look good before. I don't know why all of a sudden
something happened.
Now you're blurry, a little blurry. Before you were clear.
Was I? I think it's before the sun didn't set.
Oh, now it's really blurry.
Yeah, it's because the sun is setting. I know. I don't know what. I need to fix this.
All right, well,
have to get different lights.
We still, if we can't see you, we still want to hear you.
Well, you can see me. You just
want to see you and hear you at the same time. Every day something. I don't understand how this president works. Every day there's something he's screwing up. Every day is something else is screwing up. Now you notice how they're not talking about Afghanistan anymore. We still have at least hundreds of people still in Afghanistan, and you have a private organization with the Pineapple Express, I think they call them, trying to get these people out. And why does the government help? I don't understand. Even socialists want people back in their country, right? I mean,
yeah. Well, I think part of the strategy is to inundate us. There's so much going on that you don't know which way to focus. You can't focus. You can't fight back on any one thing because there's so many things going on. We've got the critical race theory. We've got the mandates on the masks, the injections. We have, the border crisis, and it's just, I mean, the list goes on.
And what's another crisis that's expanding? Cargo ships that are anchored outside of New York and Los Angeles because they can't get into the port, and they don't have anybody drive the trucks. And they bring the stuff to the shore. It's crazy.
This is not. There's no need for this. They're creating this. They're creating the shortage. This is intentional. Because they want to create the shortage because they want to implode the economy and they want to create dependency.
But what bothers me? Well, I think you're right that they're not even addressing it. They're not even addressing it. You don't hear about it.
They are addressing it. They told us we have to lower our expectations.
The other day, one of the White House correspondents sets us up to Jen Psaki, who has got to be as incompetent as her boss. Let me rephrase that. I think the woman is pretty smart, just that she's dealing with stupid people, and she's got to do stupid things to cover for them. And she's doing a pretty good job of covering, but
that's her. That is the puppet mouth. Yeah, she's the.
How much can you? I mean, the other day they asked a question, she started laughing, like something about, well, you can't go on the treadmill or something like.
They asked, I think it was today, they asked if if Biden had ever been to the border. And she was like, in his life? And they said, yeah. And she's like, I'll have to check on that. Well,
Yeah,
we've got no
she circles back on everything. But
Yeah,
does
we'll
she
circle
really
back.
circle back? That's the problem. When she
Girl.
says, I'll circle back, she's not
Yep.
circling. She's going back without the
Yeah.
circle.
Yep.
Unbelievable. And, now I understand. This is what bothers me. Biden just recently said something about reinstating Trump's stay in Mexico program. But the Supreme Court told him he has to do it, but they don't care about the Supreme Court. They do what they want to do anyway. So he's claiming that DeSantis is trying to open up the ports here in Florida for the ship. Oh, that's good. That's good. Good evening, Bruno Capola. How are you, guy? I like the cigar in his mouth. That's good. That's DeSantis opening the ports. And Florida has a lot of ports.
Yeah.
And if he can do that, that could help a lot. That's presidential material. That's a man that knows how to lead.
Right.
He thinks ahead of the game. So wait a minute. They got ports. Let me bring them to Florida. I mean, you got to think. Florida is 1,200 miles from New York City. Okay, so those ships are standing there anyway, doing nothing. They might as well go to, in 3 or 4 days they could be in. I don't know how fast they go. How many knots? I'm not. My nautical experience is very limited. Only the scuba dive. Only know how to go underwater. I don't know how to do anything over the water. Okay. But think about it. If a couple hundred of those ships go to Florida and unload, and then they have the trucks. Now, another thing, Florida does not have as many unions or have any unions as other states. They're a right-to-work state.
Right.
So they don't have to be unionized. I think Tennessee, where you live, too. Some of the southern states are like that. They say, wait, we don't want unions here.
I believe Tennessee is also right to work.
What's that?
Yeah, there are a couple of other states. I think Tennessee might be. Yeah, I have to look into that.
So here's my read on that. If you have an industry where you pay people the right amount of money, F Joe Biden, F Joe Biden, F Joe Biden. Okay, all right, we all know what that is. Now, what is it? Go Brandon is like the code for F Joe Biden. Is that the code?
Yeah.
Go Brandon.
Well, because the crowd was cheering. I won't say.
Yeah, I know. I saw that clip. Yeah.
And so the media covered for him and said, no, they were saying, let's go, Brandon.
No,
no, they weren't.
The media tries to cover in such a way. I'm hoping that the media has a reckoning themselves. That people actually say, listen, why don't you just tell the news the way it is, not the way you want it to be. Right. They are the publicity arm of the Democratic Socialist Party. Very simple.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly right.
I was gonna say, let's go, Brandon. Brandon. Well, you know what? And when Biden went recently, someplace, people were yelling at him. Hey, they were all Trump supporters, and they were yelling at him. I mean, I actually feel bad for him because I don't think. I said this when he was running for office. I said I don't think it was fair to put a man like in his state to put him in this position, and that's why he stayed in this. That's why he didn't campaign.
It is.
And I don't know why they didn't pick somebody else. And say, look, okay,
because he's the perfect.
Whoever came in second or third, because Kamala came in last, and why they put her in there, I don't. Now, if Biden slips on a banana peel and is incapacitated, Kamala's going to take over. She's not. She has no dementia. She's just stupid.
Do you know that she's not even eligible? She's a natural born citizen.
Wow.
Well,
Obama was not a national born citizen either.
True. But Kamala, we know. I mean, this is very public. That she is not eligible. If anybody cares at all about the Constitution,
so then put Nancy Pelosi as president then.
What?
Nancy Pelosi could be the president if Biden is incapacitated and Kamala's not. able to be the president. Now, maybe that was part of their plan too. That's why they picked her for vice president, knowing that. I mean, I think the Democrats are very clever. I really do. They're evil, but they're clever.
Very,
Satan has put his claws into the Democratic Socialist Party, and he's doing a great job.
Sure. I mean, if you look at the history of Marxism, it has occultist satanic roots. You know, there's no way to deny that. They're very all the strategies, you know, are the same as the occultists. And you know, there's even connection to Adam Weishaupt was one of the he was the official founder of the Illuminati, which I know people think is conspiracy. We can't prove that it exists today, but it did exist, and we have documented evidence of that. And do you know when it was formed? The official Illuminati. Do you know when it was formed? Take a wild guess. What year?
Okay. Now,
I'll tell you. 1776.
Right.
Well, what year was this country formed? What was our yeah, exactly. So I don't think that's a coincidence, but there it does have roots. And so the Freemasonry then became they commissioned the League of the Outlaws, which then became the offshoot became the League of the Just. You may be familiar with the League of the Just. The League of the Just then commissioned Engels and Marx to write the Communist Manifesto.
Right.
So, it's much more intricate than that. I won't go into all of it right now, but just that alone lets you know. But I always say that they're you know, they have a trinity that they worship, and this is the Marxist trinity, and it comes from, you know, the satanic roots. It's deception, distortion, and division. Deception, distortion.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But didn't the
sorry, deception, destruction.
Did not want to say the prayer before. They didn't want to say the prayer before the they when they convene. Is that true? I don't even want to say the tax. They didn't want to say the Pledge of Allegiance, and I was pissed off about that. But I understand they don't even want the Lord's Prayer. They don't want any prayer.
Who?
The Congress when they convene.
Oh, yeah. No, they don't. Well, and because that is part of the Marxist agenda. They want to strip any religion, but it's actually, you know, yes, it's religion, but it's really the moral fabric that they want to destroy, because they know that is what makes this country work. You know, even free markets, like free markets can't work without the counterbalance of, you know, morality, a code of ethics. That's why this country was founded on Judeo-Christian principles. You know, God is mentioned in the Constitution 6 times. And the reason for it being woven into the fabric is because it's the checks and balances for, you know, the liberties that we have.
Courtney, Anthony Esposito says that he thinks Biden was there in 1776. That's how old he is.
Entirely possible.
He's the oldest president ever, right? Am I correct? Biden is the oldest elected president ever. Nobody's ever been older than him.
Really?
Yeah, 78 years old, right? Something like that. 77.
Yeah,
he's the oldest.
Wow. Yeah, well, it shows. You know, it shows.
Amazing. You know, it's amazing that we even have to talk about this. It's amazing how we have to talk about the leader of the quote leader of the free world.
Yeah.
Which the free world is shitting in their pants because they're I got to tell you, one of the things that we always say is that people love to hate America. They love to hate New York City. They love to hate who's number one. That's
sure.
So I lost my train of thought.
No. Yeah,
the people around the world that rely on us. When these missionaries are taken hostage in Somalia, who goes in there? The Navy SEALs, U.S. Rangers, America, anywhere in the world that there's a problem, America's got to show up. The Korean War, who was the most people killed in the Americans, right?
Mhm.
Uh, World War II, we had to be there. We had to help the France and England against the Germans. In World War One, we had to be there. We're
Yeah,
always there for them. They're not there for us.
I know. I
It's a
know.
shame.
Yeah.
And it's ironic that Germany, who's one of our enemies, is technically an ally of ours, but their pendulum will swing either way. That's my opinion. They're afraid to be right wing because then they'll be called Nazis, because Nazism is considered of the right.
Nazi is not right wing. Nazi
Well,
is on
I
the
mean, some
left.
people think it is.
It's the Socialist Democratic Workers' Party.
Yeah,
They
well,
are on the left. You know, Hitler only opposed to Stalin because he was in competition with him,
right,
not
right.
not because he had a problem with totalitarianism.
But
He wanted to be the leader.
some of the tenets of communism, and what that we're talking about is against. They don't like blacks. They don't like Hispanics. They don't like no. They're very prejudiced. The Nazis. They were always very prejudiced against anybody that wasn't German.
They were eugenicists.
Yeah.
So
They
yeah.
believe that they're the Aryan, the best race, this, that, and the other. So,
Mhm.
and I believe there are still remnants of the Nazi part. The younger Nazis are
Yeah.
trying to build up their part. Oh,
Yeah.
Biden, Anthony Rosati says, and Biden is no leader. That's true. Biden is not a leader. He's not even a follower. He's just there. He's just blah. He's there.
Yeah.
I mean, the other day, his wife, they were giving a speech or something. While the band was playing, he was talking. His wife had to tell him,
Mhm.
Joe, stop. You know, I mean, that's how messed up he is.
Yeah. No,
And they're covering for him so badly. And I think it's going to bite them in the ass. I think eventually people are going to say the media is really not they're not really reporting. They're editorializing. They're giving their opinions in the news, and they're eliminating things that would make you think otherwise. You were going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of people have woken up, and you know, my big thing that I always say is the Great Awakening combats the Great Reset. So you know, it's our job to keep shining light for whoever's ears and eyes are open to watching and hearing. But the unfortunate part of it is that so many people are not ready because the brainwashing and the indoctrination has been so strong for so long. So that's what the media does. That's their job. They're part of the indoctrination factory.
Yeah.
And people have been, soaked and seeped into this for so long that a lot of people are not capable of stepping outside of it. But there are a lot of people who are starting to realize that they've been lied to. And they're very angry about it. And they are waking up and they are realizing that the mainstream media does not have their best interest, that they're not telling
I
the truth.
understand that CNN had the lowest ratings in like 20 years.
Yeah.
People are not listening, which is a good sign. I mean, people are not like they're saying, wait a minute, these guys are not. Now, MSNBC did better, but they're from the same cloth. They're cut from the same cloth.
Yes.
I don't know why more people watch MSNBC. The people they have on there are not anything to go crazy about. Joe Scarborough and his wife, who's whatever, I forgot her name. I don't want to know her name. You got Rachel Maddow, who's a drama queen. You got Don Lemon. Oh, Don Lemon is was he? He's with CNN. He is a lemon. He's a lemon. All right. His ratings were a little better than Chris Cuomo. His helped his disastrous brother. You know that his brother Mario Cuomo is still in the polls for the next election. It's Hochschild, who's the acting governor in New York State, and then you have Tisha Adams, who's the attorney general, who's making noise like she wants to be the governor, and then you have Jermaine whatever, I forgot his name. I don't want Johnson, whatever. He's a nobody. I don't know how. He's a public advocate in New York City. He's got nothing going. And now, and I understand that Cuomo is they put him on. Oh, and De Blasio. I forgot. How could I forget De Blasio? They didn't even put him on the poll. That's how low he is. He's not even. He's putting his name in, but nobody wants. Nobody wants. Look, his incompetency is legendary. The whole state knows he's no good. So even the liberals don't want a guy like him. He's just terrible.
Yeah.
Him and his wife. He and his wife.
I wish I could say the same about Newsom, but I think some of the brainwashed drones actually like him.
Somebody's gonna like him. I mean, by the way, I read that activists are snubbing the White House. They're saying that now Biden is going back to Trump, some of Trump's things. CNN ratings are so in the tank. They actually want Trump to run in 24. Yeah, you know what? They made all their viewers all about Trump. There's no Trump. There's no viewers.
Yeah.
Same thing with Twitter, and
great for their ratings.
They love to hate Trump. That's the bottom line.
Derangement syndrome. Yep.
I couldn't find it. Somebody on Facebook put a whole list of all the things bad about Trump. He's a misogynist. He's narcissistic. He exaggerates things. He belittles people. He talks too much. All these things. But he knocked the economy. He built up the economy. He got the stock market flowing. He got the GNP from 1. He got it to 3. I mean, he brought manufacturing jobs back. Manufacturing back to the United States. I mean, he just so many accomplishments, and he had the border under control. He had the border and he destroyed ISIS.
The historic peace treaty in the Middle East.
Yeah, he's done so many good things. They don't talk about it,
right?
Because it destroys their narrative.
So the one of the strategies of the left is they're really good at this, and the right is not good at this at all. Like because we believe in free speech, we believe in independent thought and critical thinking. We will argue with each other. We are open to discord. They are not. They are really good at unifying. And one of the things they do is, they like to make a common enemy to unify around. And Trump was their enemy that they would rally around.
Right, yeah.
It was in terms of strategy.
And they're trying to make DeSantis is their enemy too.
But what?
Governor DeSantis. They're trying to. They know he's a threat, and I think he's a worse threat than Trump because he has no baggage. DeSantis he's hasn't been married 3 times. He didn't grab some girl's pussy.
Even not even in terms of like the personal stuff. It has less to do with media slander. I think one of the reasons DeSantis is such a threat is because they're trying to destroy federalism. Remember Jen Psaki was saying how the federal government overrides the states? No, actually, we have a 10th Amendment that says you are completely wrong. We have states' rights. And they're trying to destroy states' rights because they want to federalize everything so they can centralize power.
Right.
And DeSantis is a major threat to that because he's saying this isn't going to work in Florida. We're not playing those games.
We have states' rights.
Exactly.
That's the 10th Amendment, states' rights.
Yep, exactly.
Now, the only thing that the federal government has over the states is things that they're like, for example, the Federal Aviation FAA is federal. They run it for the whole country. The Army, the Navy, that's a job for the federal government. They have law enforcement. However, the FBI only comes in when it's a federal case. Murder is not a federal case unless you go over state line. So the states can prosecute their own. Now, they don't like that. They don't like. They want the DOJ. They want them to control everything.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Now, the states have been going to court, and some of the states have won cases against the federal government. Now, Texas is also another thorn in the leftist side.
Yeah.
They're limiting the abortion, all kinds of stuff. They're arresting illegal aliens if they break the local laws.
Right.
They're not arresting him on federal. Oh, no, no, no. Federal, let the feds do what they got to do. But if
Mhm.
they go into a town and commit a crime, they can put them in
Right.
jail based on the violation of the crime that's local. That's a state law.
Right.
Now, some of these red states, I mean, some of these blue states are not doing that anyway. They're sanctuary states and all that other stuff. And eventually, um, it's gonna overwhelm them. It's gonna
Yeah.
overwhelm.
Yeah.
It's gonna overwhelm because when you're putting, and forget about legal illegal. You have a town of 18,000 people, a small
Yeah.
town, 18,000 people, and all of a sudden you put another 4 or 5,000 in there. First of all, you got to look at the town infrastructure, the sewers. They're going to be using more water. They're going to be more showers, more garbage is going to come. So the sewers, the garbage disposal is going to be affected.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be affected.
Of course.
But they don't realize that, or if they do realize it, they don't care.
Yeah. They realize
it.
They realize it.
During Obama's time, they had a lot of immigrants coming in, and it was a town, I think, in Georgia. The town was a small town, a couple thousand people, really small, like a one gas station town, one of those, you know.
Right.
All of a sudden, they had 4 or 5,000 illegals. What we're going to do with them? How are they going to take? They just can't. Even if you want to, you can't take care of them. You can't. How are you going to help them? First of all, your medical, nursing, medical hospitals. I mean, come on.
The analogy I always use is that if you're struggling, if you have 2 children and you're struggling to feed them, and you can barely feed your 2 kids, are you going to then say, you know, I think you should invite your entire school over for dinner. We'll just take them in.
Yeah,
No,
right, yeah.
you wouldn't do that.
Well, a lot of these the socialist Democrats, you know, what I like to say to them, if we had the dialogue with them, it says, well, why don't you have some of the immigrants stay in your home?
Yeah, exactly.
No, not in my neighborhood. And NIMBY, not in my neyborhood.
Nope.
No. It's okay for somebody else. Now, it's amazing how the liberals, the socialist Democrats, they're not even liberal. They're socialist Democrat. The liberals, I think, are pissed off at them myself. I mean, if you're an honest liberal, you can't fathom some of these things that are happening. You just can't. You say, I don't understand how this is happening. If you're a liberal, you don't want to see American citizens trapped in a hostile country like the Taliban. Who knows how many people they're killing? They are animals. They are animals.
Yeah.
And I think Biden should be tried for the murder, negligent homicide of those 13 American soldiers and the Navy guy that were killed at the
very least. There's a lot of things he should be tried for.
His negligence caused that.
Of course.
You don't bring the army out first. You bring the civilians.
Absolutely.
If you ever watch any of these, so I watch these old cowboy movies, right? And the Indians are attacking the fort. You take the women and children in the fort, you put them, you get them, and then you fight. You do whatever you have to do. He did the opposite. I don't understand what possessed him to do that.
Right.
Now that to me, that has nothing to do with the reset.
It's intentional. It's not incompetence. First of all, he's not in control. He's a puppet. Second of all, the people who are pulling the strings want to destroy America. That is how you destroy this country. This is intentional. This is not incompetence. I would love to get into incompetence, but it's not.
Ellen Kosnick, a good friend of mine, just says, look where they're dumping the people. How about East Hampton, Westport, Scarsdale? They bring them all over.
Yeah.
By the way, Scarsdale, Pelham, Bronxville, they're very liberal. They're very rich liberal. But they are rich because they don't have those elements in their midst. Okay? The only Black and Hispanic people they see are the maids and the housekeepers that they have there. Okay, I'm gonna be. You can call me racist, call me whatever you want. But I'm a realist. I'm telling you like it is. Okay. Now, one of my dear friends lives in Pelham, and there was an exit ramp that goes to Mount Vernon that passed through their town. They actually made the county change that so those people those people are Black and Hispanic because they go to Target in Mount Vernon, which is not far from there, and they don't want them in their town. You see, they could be liberal when it doesn't affect them.
Right.
They,
Yeah.
you know,
For thee
they,
and
they,
not for me.
they don't want to have, they don't want guns. They don't want people to have guns. Okay. Because where they live, there's no violence. There's no crime. But people that live in a crime-infested neighborhood, some of them need legal guns. And by the way, the kid that shot the people at Parkland, he pled guilty today. He's getting life or Bruno says we got to take back this country by any means possible. I agree with you. And you might want to be onto something, Courtney. That's for you. See that? Do you see that, Courtney?
Regarding what, Bruno? What specifically?
Bruno, say that again. Bruno.
He
just wants to talk to you. That's all. Trying to talk to you and me.
I think you're right though. We need to take back the country. Absolutely.
You know, I make a list of things to talk about. Everybody, they get mad at me, Joe and the other and Eddie. But we keep. It's all related. Everything we say is related. It's all. I mean.
About the people.
The people behind Biden. Oh, did you see that?
Yes, trying to destroy the country. Yeah, absolutely. That is the goal. Because here's the thing. The thing is that America is the bastion of freedom. The world is looking to us to preserve the free will of humanity.
Right, that's what I said before.
It is incumbent upon us to defend the free will of humanity, which is, I think that's integral to being human. We are endowed with free will. And the powers that be want to destroy that because they want to have complete, total control. And they are implementing all sorts of things that, years ago you could have said they sound crazy, but they put it in writing. And they want to do all of these things that sound crazy because they want complete control. They want control over everyone.
Okay, so let me say something. So let's say they get complete control. Now, not now, but I would say maybe not in our lifetime, maybe another 40, 50 years. Okay, let's assume.
I hope to be alive in another 40, 50 years.
Let's say 30 years. Let's say during our lifetime. Let's say the next 30 years, okay? When they're going to destroy everything anyway. And then
I'm not that old. But go on.
What happened to communist Russia? Okay, communist Russia was totally communist. All of a sudden now, they became more capitalist. Mm-hmm. And I don't see them, even though technically they're communist, I don't see them professing are they very communistic? I don't think so.
So they're not completely free. They have moved into a more capitalistic, enterprising direction. But here's another kind of misconception. You can be capitalistic in wealth creation, but not necessarily in wealth distribution. You can also be capitalistic without being a proponent of free will and freedom.
Makes me laugh. AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, is this avowed socialist, and she was selling stuff on the internet. She was selling, I don't know, she had some product. So someone said something, well, you're being a capitalist. She goes, no, I'm trying to earn money for the socialist. So it's a hypocrisy. Same thing with China. Now, China is communist, but they are so capitalistic that they're making us look bad.
Well, again, they're capitalistic in wealth creation, and they're enterprising, but they're not pro-freedom. And so they control the distribution. This is the myth about the Scandinavian countries as well. People are always like, oh, socialism works, look at them. But again, they're capitalistic in their wealth creation. So the problem is, and that's what we're seeing a rise of in this country with the big corporation. They're very enterprising, but that's not individual freedoms and individual liberty. That's not pro small business. And I only bring up small business because that's what people can relate to.
Courtney, all these big corporations, why are they becoming woke? Why are they
becoming woke?
So liberal?
Because they're not independent enterprises. This is the rise of fascism. So big corporations are getting federal funding. They are not independent. And this is exactly my point. So you can have, they're capitalistic. Capitalism just means they're for profit. Yeah, they're for profit, but they also take federal funding. And that's why they succumb and they kowtow to all of these leftist agendas, because they're getting subsidized for it. And this is part of the Great Reset too. You see all the SDG initiatives, and so all of them are trying to move in that direction because they want to get those initiatives. So
it's amazing. Dianne Feinstein, one of the senators from your old state, California.
Mm-hmm.
Her husband owns a huge real estate company. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's been getting federal funding to buy, and then he's buying federal property that's up for sale. It's like they don't have to lay out any money. They're getting money from the government. Come from the government. That's why they're so filthy.
It's called inside trading.
Viva Lish, pretty lady. You're a pretty lady. From a very pretty lady to another pretty lady. It's very good.
Yeah.
She's a sweetheart. She's a good friend of mine, and she's a follower of us. So it's just amazing. It's just
it's insider trading when the people do it, but when members of Congress do it, it's perfectly fine.
I love Bernie Sanders. He argues about billionaires. There's a clip of him, millionaires. But meanwhile, he made over $1 million with his book on Amazon. He has 3 homes. One was $650,000. I don't know. Whatever. He also has a $175,000 R10 sports car, a Audi. I think it's an Audi sports car, $175,000. But now he's not. He's a socialist.
Right.
He's a fraud.
Yeah, well,
socialist.
Socialism means
AOC goes to this dinner.
On the bottom,
AOC
nothing.
Goes to a dinner at $35,000. $35,000 a ticket. She gets it for free. $35,000 a ticket. She wears a dress from a woman who puts on tax the rich, and that woman owes taxes to the federal government. She owes taxes to the federal. She's in a hole, and I think she went back. I think she owes other people. She owes a lot of money out.
Right.
What hypocrisy! It's unbelievable. Plus, that dress that she was wearing was very expensive to begin with. I mean, she got it for nothing. That probably
exactly.
The woman did it. That's the quid pro quo, which is okay. But she goes to a $35,000 plate dinner, bad-mouthing the rich who she's hobnobbing with. That to me is the ultimate hypocrisy. There's no way.
But that's exactly what socialism, communism is all about. They want all the money and all the luxuries and privileges for them, the elites. That's always how communism works.
Who was the congresswoman
else to own nothing and be happy?
Who was the congresswoman, I think from California, that wants to defund the police, but she has $250,000 a year in security that the Congress pays for, because she says, I got death threats. Anybody in politics gets death threats anyway. If you got to, everybody should have security. Hypocrisy. Yep. All of these people.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what rules. That was part of the rules for radical. The hypocrisy is part of their.
We only have a minute left, but one of the very interesting things is Facebook. Zuckerberg we brought up the task that he used Facebook for the election. Now the people are now you have whistleblowers coming out. No matter what company you have, government or private, there are people that get pissed off of corruption, and they are the whistleblower. Some people will call them rats, but I call them. But a whistleblower it's got a responsibility for that.
Yeah,
it's just like you're in a house and the house is on fire. You call the fire department. They're doing the same thing. All right, it's 8:00. I want to thank you. What I like about you and me, we have a very spirited goes fast.
Yeah.
It goes fast.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody. And Democrats and Republicans, they're all the same. Corrupt politics. Anthony Vinny, yes. And congratulations. He just got a part in a movie called Gravesend. I'm friendly with some of the people there. My old secretary, executive assistant, is a co-producer. William DeMeo, the great show. It's on, I think, Netflix. And as we say on Arthur Avenue, sempre noi, always with us. Good night, everybody.
Nice.